What if the entire fairy tale was a smokescreen? What if the Duchess we were told came from humble beginnings, who captured a prince, rebranded the monarchy, and inspired millions, was hiding a secret so explosive, so deeply buried, that it took one anonymous insider with nothing left to lose to drag it into the light? That's exactly what happened. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The world knew him only by his Instagram handle at first. A cryptic name. A profile photo taken from the stern of a luxury yacht. Just another so-called yacht boy, with tales of excess and elite encounters. But this time, something was different. This one didn't want money. He didn't want fame. He wanted the truth out, and he claimed to have the receipts. His real name? Christopher Jones. And if you believe what he's now revealed on podcasts, encrypted blogs, leaked metadata files, and more, then Meghan Markle's curated image as the strong, resilient, modern Duchess of Sussex might be nothing more than a polished costume, stitched together with high society favors, secret deals, and whispered nights aboard super yachts you've never heard of, owned by men you'll never meet. So who is Christopher Jones? And why now? Why, years after Meghan's royal rise, years after The Cut, Oprah, Netflix, and Archetypes, is a former yacht crew member risking everything to come forward? Why does he say he couldn't stay silent anymore? And what exactly did he see on those glittering decks of the Adriatic? You see, buried under the glow of fairy tales and press headlines is another version of events. A version the tabloids dared not publish. One where Meghan Markle wasn't plucked from obscurity, but deliberately placed into proximity of power. Not discovered, but presented. And where did it all allegedly begin? Croatia, the infamous Yacht Week. Hundreds of vessels, billionaires docking shoulder to shoulder, anonymous deals over caviar, foreign dignitaries with untraceable bank accounts, Hollywood casting agents mingling with oil heirs and Russian oligarchs. There are no red carpets here. Just water, secrets, and silence. Until now. Because Christopher says he was there. Not just once, but over a series of summers. He claims he saw her, not just attending, but participating. He says he cleaned the cabins, served the drinks, delivered the designer gowns. He says he was on the inside of the world Meghan has gone to extreme lengths to distance herself from. And then, it happened. He posted one image, one photo, no filters, no edits, just metadata, time-stamped, GPS-locked, and allegedly showing a younger Meghan, lounging on a yacht owned by a controversial businessman during one of the most elite weeks of social activity in Europe. Was it real? Debates exploded. Experts dissected shadows and sunglasses, angles and skin tone, trying to match the image to known photographs. But then Christopher upped the ante. He dropped a file folder. Inside, 3 more images, a short video, and something even more disturbing, a screenshot of a private guest manifest, with a name that didn't say Meghan Markle, but a coded alias used frequently for non-disclosure guests. Pearl. Could this be the real backstory behind the rise? Was Meghan a participant in a system where powerful women are groomed and positioned? Or worse, was she complicit? People often ask, why does this matter now? Why not leave the past in the past? But let's ask something deeper. What if that past never really left? What if those same forces, the same influencers, billionaires, handlers, are still shaping the image, the interviews, the headlines, and even the political aspirations? We've seen the PR machine at work. We've seen how Archwell Foundation's numbers don't always match up. We've seen the blind loyalty, the curated tears, the contradictions. But behind the glitz and glam of Montecito, behind the camera-ready podcasts and brand deals, what if the real Meghan never changed? What if this fairy tale has a prologue no one wanted to read? And here's where it gets disturbing. Because Christopher says it wasn't just one yacht. It wasn't just one trip. He says she was known, recognized, welcomed, and at least once, invited back. He describes elaborate evenings, staged encounters, whispered introductions. He says Meghan wasn't merely a guest. She was an asset. Someone certain hosts would boast about having on board. Not just because she was beautiful, but because she had ambition. Because she knew how to play the game. If that's true, then what else have we been misled about? Her break into acting? Her humanitarian efforts? Even her accidental meeting with Prince Harry? Think about it. What if none of it was accidental? What if her rise, her placement, was orchestrated far earlier than anyone realized? And here's where it gets even darker. Jones claims that Meghan's ties to certain individuals, now scrubbed from the internet, extend into deeply controversial territories: foreign nationals, private security firms, even social circles connected to Jeffrey Epstein's yachts. Is it coincidence? Is it conspiracy? Or is it a trail, hiding in plain sight, that finally has someone brave enough to follow it? Jones says he's scared. He's received threats. He's moved cities. He's burned bridges. But he's not backing down. He says the world deserves to know the truth about who really gets elevated and who's pulling the strings. Because if Meghan Markle is truly the modern fairy tale, then what does that say about the story we've been sold? And more importantly, what comes next when the truth can no longer be hidden? In this investigation, we'll take you through the yachts, the leaked files, the social media scrub, and the players behind the curtain. You'll hear names you've never heard before, and some you definitely have. There will be photos, videos, voice memos, first-hand accounts, contradictions, timelines that don't add up. And when it's over, you'll have to decide. Is Christopher Jones a bitter ex-crew member with a grudge? Or is he the key to a story that was never supposed to reach the public? Because tonight, we pull back the curtain, and we start with the man himself. Who is Christopher Jones? Why did he wait so long to speak? And why is now the moment he says Meghan Markle's secret past can no longer be protected? Hold on tight, because what's coming next might change everything. And no one saw it coming. Who risks everything to bring down a duchess? Seriously, what makes someone get up one day, stare at the elite fortress of fame and power, and say, "I'm done keeping this secret. It's time the world knew who she really is"? That someone is Christopher Jones. But here's the thing. Up until a few months ago, nobody outside of certain luxury yacht circles even knew his name. And yet now, his face, blurred or not, is showing up on underground interview podcasts, secret expose threads, and encrypted social media videos, where he's dropping hints, revealing photos, and carefully walking the razor's edge between truth and danger. So who exactly is Christopher Jones? And more importantly, why now? Let's backtrack. Christopher Jones wasn't born into scandal. He wasn't some washed-up paparazzo looking for revenge. No, he was a worker, a behind-the-scenes guy, one of the invisible men who made the rich feel invincible, a yacht steward, a service professional aboard multi-million-dollar vessels, where the rich play, plot, and pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist. His job? Make sure everything sparkled. From the champagne glasses to the alibis. And for years, that's all he did. Quietly, efficiently, discreetly. Until, as he claims, he saw something he couldn't unsee. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Christopher Jones grew up in coastal New Zealand. His mother was a teacher, his father a fisherman. Not exactly the pedigree you'd expect from someone brushing shoulders with royals and billionaires. But that's the irony, isn't it? The ones behind the curtain always come from outside the palace. At 19, Jones got a job cleaning boats. Within 5 years, he had climbed his way onto some of the most exclusive vessels in the Mediterranean. He wasn't just washing decks. He was serving Dom Perignon to A-list actresses and oil heirs. He learned how to be invisible in plain sight, how to serve without being seen, how to listen without reacting. And during the summers of 2014 and 2015, years critical to this story, he found himself assigned to a vessel nicknamed the Ice Queen, docked off the coast of Var, Croatia. That name may not mean much now, but you'll want to remember it, because Christopher claims that's where he first met the woman the world would later call Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Now pause. Take that in. He didn't meet Meghan Markle, actress. He didn't meet Meghan, Prince Harry's love interest. He met Pearl. That's the alias he says she used on guest manifests. That's the name whispered among the crew, carefully, nervously. And that's the name Jones says he saw attached to the guest list on not one, but 3 separate occasions during 2 summers of Croatia's Yacht Week. Sound crazy? Wait until you hear what came next. According to Jones, Pearl wasn't just another pretty face. She was magnetic, confident, not exactly the reserved humanitarian image the public knows. He describes a woman who knew how to work a room, or a deck, who laughed at the right jokes, danced barefoot under the stars, and flirted just enough to make you forget who you were working for. But here's where the story gets murky. Because at the time, Meghan wasn't yet a duchess. She was an actress, yes, but not exactly a household name. Suits had given her visibility, but not power. Not yet. Which is why, Jones claims, she was still in the game. Still networking. Still taking certain invitations. And it's those invitations that led her aboard the Ice Queen. Jones doesn't pretend to know everything. He wasn't in the master suite, and he wasn't a guest. But what he did have was access. Access to logs, manifests, security footage, catering lists, and private conversations between staff. And that's where things start to unravel. Because when Jones was cleaning up after a particularly extravagant midnight party, the kind where phones were confiscated and cameras covered, he says he found something. A necklace. Nothing dramatic at first glance. Just a delicate chain with a single word engraved on the back. Pearl. He turned it in, like protocol demanded. But the next morning, it was gone. No record. No thanks. No mention. Just a quiet word from his supervisor. You didn't see anything. That's when he knew. There were layers to this world he hadn't even scratched. And Pearl? She wasn't just another guest. Now fast forward to 2018. The royal wedding. Millions watching. And there she was, walking down the aisle of Windsor Castle in Givenchy. Christopher says he froze. Not out of admiration, but disbelief. Because the woman on the screen wasn't just Meghan Markle. It was her. Pearl. The woman he served champagne to. The woman whose name showed up on a yacht manifest next to a tech billionaire and a European arms dealer. The woman who vanished after those summers, only to reappear in the biggest social climb of the decade. For a while, Jones says he kept it to himself. Who would believe him? He wasn't royalty. He wasn't rich. He was a crewman with a memory. But then the story started. The interviews. The Netflix deals. The curated narratives of survival and oppression. The insistence that Meghan had come from the outside, with no connections, no privilege, just grit and hard work. And that's when it got to him. Because, according to Christopher, he knew what he saw. He knew where she came from. And it wasn't a humble climb. It was a strategic placement. A long game. And it didn't sit right with him anymore. So he started to dig. Old files. Cloud backups. Forgotten hard drives. Chat logs with other crew members who had since gone silent. And then he found it. An old USB drive labeled ICQ Summer. It had been tossed in a drawer. Forgotten. Inside. Footage. Images. Guest lists. All from the summer of 2015. And there she was. In one photo, Meghan, or Pearl, was leaning against the rail of the yacht in a white cover-up dress. The timestamp, July 29, 2015. GPS, just off the coast of Vis, Croatia. No makeup, no staging. Just her, a glass of rose, and a man's hand on her lower back. Blurred, unidentifiable, but very real. Jones didn't post it right away. He knew what it meant. He knew what would happen if he went public. But he also knew this wasn't just about gossip. It was about deception, public trust, and the rewriting of personal history for power. That's when he made his first move. He contacted an underground journalist who specialized in celebrity manipulation, an anonymous figure known online as Z. Together, they crafted a plan. Not to expose Meghan in one viral hit, but to build a timeline. To prove she was there. To back it up with timestamps, metadata, eyewitness accounts, and more. But just as they were preparing the first leak, something strange happened. Jones's phone started glitching. Then his email was hacked. A burner phone he kept for emergencies lit up with a message. Delete everything. Walk away. Or it won't just be your career that's over. He moved cities the next day. But he didn't stop. Because as he puts it, when the machine comes for you, that's when you know you've hit a nerve. But what nerve had he struck? Why were powerful people suddenly so interested in what an ex-yacht crew member had to say? And what exactly was on that footage that made even seasoned whistleblowers advise him to go quiet? Let's just say, it wasn't just Meghan, and it wasn't just Croatia. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Christopher Jones had the photo, the timestamp, the location, the name on the manifest, the alias Pearl. And now, he had something else. A video. It wasn't long, barely 32 seconds. But it was enough. Enough to pull the internet into a tailspin. Enough to force hashtags to trend, get mysteriously buried, then trend again. Enough to make people whisper, "Is this really her?" Let's talk about what was on that clip. A late evening on the deck of the Ice Queen. You could hear the music thumping in the distance, deep bass from a nearby yacht party. The camera pans slightly as a crew member passes. Then, you see her. The same white cover-up dress from the earlier photo. Same glass of rose. Same effortless posture, like she belonged. A man approaches. Not just anyone. Someone dressed sharply, designer watch flashing, face partially obscured. He leans in close. Whispers something. She throws her head back and laughs. It's quick.